Hello and welcome to the EspArtStick SD-card sequence creation tutorial. Here I am going to walk you through the process of setting up a sequence from Xlights to be able to play it off the EspArtStick SD edition. First thing you'll want to know is that the limit currently is set to 512 pixels. The reason being is so that it plays nice and smooth and doesn't have any lag issues. So let's begin. Now in this example, I'm going to walk you through two different types of matrices. The standard one is known as the 8x32, and if you have two of them, you wind up having an 8x64 equaling 512 pixels. This is the standard that people use to wrap around a hat or use for various different type of wearable costumes. The next is an off-kilter one, and is known as the 11x44 or the 484 matrix. Now the 484 matrix is a little tricky, so this is the first one we're going to walk through. Now the first step is you want to set up the channels. Now since the limit on the SD card is 512 pixels, I made life easy and I just set up the channels to be 1536. That's 512 times 3, and it's going to be as a null. Okay, you want to create yourself a brand new folder, so don't use your existing ones, just create a brand new, do change, create a new folder, and it will store in there in Xlights, so you're all set and ready to go. Click on add null. You'll notice that these are all null. Starts at ID 1 for the, you can give it whatever name you want here, leave this all as is, and have this as saying 1536. Next, layout. You'll notice in here I have two settings, two models. The first one is the one that we're going to be using for our effects. Now, the reason why I have actually created this is 484 is not a multiple of 3. Okay, you got 483 or 486. So when you're doing a 484, you're going to be chopping off all the red, green, blue in one of the last pixels, resulting in your pixels not lining up correctly, and it's going to look very shifted. Simple solution is set up your matrix and then just create a bunch of nulls for the rest. So what we're going to do here for the 11x44, the direction is actually horizontal, so you want to create yourself a matrix like this one, and you want to set it up as horizontal. Number of strings is just 1, count is 484, and its horizontal count is 11. Position starts at bottom right. Now if you're going to be doing the standard matrix, flexible matrix, it would be set up as a vertical. This would be either if you're using one of the 8x32s or two 8x32s. So if you're using two of them, you can do 512, and then this would be 64, and the position I think is bottom left or bottom right. But for right now, and then of course you don't need the rest. You can get rid of this model because you're using 512 pixels. But in this case, let's go back to this one. And this can apply for all your other models, not just a matrix. You can do Buscolia props or whatnot. Okay, now let's do this back to here, because this is the one that people seem to have a lot of trouble with. Alright, so you want to make sure your matrix is set up correctly. The rest of the information you don't need. Down the road I'll be coding more, but for right now you do not need any of that. So now let's get rid of the rest of the fluff to match up to 512. So it's a simple, you just take the 484, you minus the 512, you get 28. We're just going to create a simple little line Okay, this simple little line, we're not even being used, but we're just creating the model, so then that way the sequence that is being read will match up to the number of pixels, 512, even though you're only going to be displaying 484. It just makes life easy, because then if you change it and use a different prop, you can do this. You don't have to change this and all this fun stuff. You can just go through here. Next up, sequences. Quick and simple. Create your sequence. When you create your sequences in here, the first step you want to make sure is set up your preferences. You want to go into the sequence tab. You want to set it up to uncompressed. Uncompressed works best for this one currently. I will be finishing the code to actually use the compression, but uncompressed has better results at this present time. So choose uncompressed. If you use compressed, you'll know right away, because you'll see a lot of weird flickering and everything like that when you're trying to read the SD card and the sequences. Save, and that's it. Now you just have to do is grab the FSEQ file. You do not need to rename it. Put that onto your SD card, and you're essentially good to go. There is a configuration file if the color order is different. EspArtStick.txt gets generated automatically the first time the ArtStick powers on. So when you put in a brand new SD card, put it into the ArtStick, give it power, take the SD card out, and you will see there's an EspArtStick.txt. Pretty straight and simple. It has how many pixels you're using. In this case, I have the default saying 512. If you choose to change this number, you got to change the number of pixels on the configuration file. What is the color order? What's your initial brightness that you would like, etc. You will see it on that configuration file. Put all your sequences onto your SD card from your computer in X-Lights. Put the SD card onto the ArtStick, power it up, and you're good to go. Thank you very much.